Oh shit!
Shake that ass, come move it like That's what was
Welcome.
that. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what we were feeling in our hearts. Welcome back to another episode of Going For It. It is just the two big brains here to start today. It is myself. We can make it if we're already demonetized.
Yep.
We are going to do our pre-free agency mock draft. Mike and I have been poring over notes and combine information and reading articles, watching videos. And this is how we see the first round sort of going. A little preface: we are doing no trades because trades are unpredictable. It's really tough to be able to figure out what each pick is worth and how it's weighted and blah 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 blah. We will talk about possible trade in, trade out scenarios with specific teams and stuff, but we're gonna go as is in order from 1 to 32 and kind of go from there. This is our first video back since the Super Bowl. So if you are still hanging with us, welcome back. If you are new to our channel, welcome. And Mike, anything you want to drop for the peeps before we get into your pick number 1 of the Chicago Bears?
So if I'm going to drop anything for the peeps, it's that we're just doing this for fun. We're not experts. But we both took
stupid.
the time to go ahead and pay attention to the combine, try and watch as much tape as we could, and we even built out our own positional rankings and like mock big boards. We have full-time jobs. We do what we can. So like this is just fun for us. So if you're going to hop in those comments and tear us apart, just remember that we're no different than you. So like,
it's true.
We're just chilling, having a good time, and being bros. So
yeah, we're dudes being guys and guys being dudes.
What's better than that, you know?
Also, yeah, full-time jobs, and I have a pregnant wife and I also have a 2-year-old. So like, cut me some fucking slack.
that's like 3 full-time jobs.
It's so much. It's a lot. I just put her down in order to do this video.
That sounds bad actually when you say it that way.
I mean, I did. I was like, go to sleep. Boom. No, we actually played blankie, and I like put the blankie over her head and like did that a couple times, and then I tucked her in to go to sleep. But it sounds adorable. Way cooler if I punched her in the face. No, or does it sound like child abuse?
A little bit of both, actually.
It was not that. Anyway, on the clock, pick number 1, Chicago Bears. Mike is taking odds. I'm taking evens. Mike, what's your pick, my guy?
I mean, I don't see Chicago trading out of this unless they get a earth-shaking offer. And that earth-shaking offer is going to result in them sticking with Justin Fields. It seems like as much writing can be on the walls as possible as far as Justin Fields being out. So that picks Kayla Williams. I just don't see anything changing. I think he's got the most upside at quarterback in this draft. He's got the most talent. There's some things that you might have question marks as far as how he, family and stuff like that, and how he's carried himself throughout the process. But everything from the combine, from interviews, seems like everyone's impressed with the guy. So for me, that's kind of a no-brainer. It's done. It's easy.
Yeah, Caleb Williams seems to be the no doubt about it first overall pick. We've known this since last year. We just didn't know who would be in the spot. I gotta say, I think Fields' value is plummeting because of that, though. I think you're looking at moving Fields for a 5th, maybe a 6th. I don't think Chicago is going to get anything. A 4th in the best case scenario, but I don't think they're going to get anything over that in order to get this guy because they know Caleb Williams is going to Chicago. And truthfully, I don't envy him. I think Chicago's a tire fire. I think keeping Eberflus, new GM, if I'm that general manager at the beginning of the offseason, I can Eberflus. I bring in a whole new staff. I get people that want Caleb Williams that are going to try and develop Caleb Williams the right way. And we take our guy and we go. There's too many retreads happening in this for me to think that he's going to be successful year 1. But I guess we'll see what happens. I agree. I think Caleb Williams is the dude.
And I will say I do think that Ryan Poles has a lot of potential as a general manager. I think that he can be very, very good. I agree with you though that the decision to keep Eberflus is shocking to me. I couldn't I can't get behind it.
Well, with pick number two, my pick, I've seen this man mocked to the Washington Commanders quite often here recently. And the Patriots also seem to think that Washington is going to take this man. I'm going to take Jaden Daniels, quarterback from LSU. I think he's going number two overall. I don't have him mocked as the second best quarterback positionally. I know that you do, Mike. I
Yes.
do, however, think he has the highest ceiling of maybe any quarterback in this class, but I also think he has the lowest floor of this group of guys. Like we look at Caleb Williams, and I think he'll always be able to make those electric plays. He'll be able to move around, throw the deep ball really well. I think Drake May is stable, sturdy. You know what you're getting out of that guy. I think JJ McCarthy has a floor. Where it is up for debate apparently with most people in the NFL. I think Daniels' floor is really low. I think you're looking at a Justin Fields light version of this guy if he doesn't hit what he's supposed to hit. However, what I saw from him with LSU this year, he is so exciting, so many intangibles, and if he hits his ceiling, this dude could be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like Jaden Daniels a lot. I understand what you're saying when it comes from like thinking that he has a lower floor, but I agree that the raw athletic ability that he has makes his ceiling so high.
He's a
And
freak.
it's all about
He's a
being in the
freak.
right system. So, if it ends up being there as a Giants fan, I hate it. But
Yeah.
it is one of those things that I am very intrigued to see how it goes for him there.
Yeah, Washington is another thing that, like, another place that we talked about Chicago and their front office and their culture and everything, and like it would concern me for him to go to Washington because Washington's been a shit show as long as Washington has been around. So you hope with new ownership comes a cleanse of this franchise from the outside. As a Giants fan, fuck them. I hope they're terrible. But like as a as trying to be unbiased, I think he's going to have a tough go. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You are on the clock with the New England Patriots at pick number 3.
Yeah. So this is great. I will say I don't necessarily believe that Washington is set in stone with Daniels. I think that there probably is serious debate between Daniels and May. That's where the
I
debate
agree.
ends. I don't see them, even though I'm going to say that my number one player in this draft is Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't see either of the top two teams going that route unless for some reason the Bears decide to stick with Justin Fields, which I don't see happening. So
No.
realistically, because of all that, the draft starts here, and that's
Yeah.
because we don't know really what route the Pats are going to go. Um, for me, I think that if you go ahead and draft a quarterback here, you're setting someone up for failure. I think that there is much more that needs to be done with this team, and you're going to be better suited bringing in a veteran quarterback to try and help bridge the gap for 1 year and then address the quarterback position next year. So Drake May still being there is very, very tasty, um, but the pick for me is Joe Alt. I feel like they need a tackle. And they need someone who is going to be able to lock down that position for years to come. If you saw his measurables at the combine, dude, like, is a fucking giant. Like, and he
Yes.
moves really well. His footwork was good. He was one of the big standouts, and he was already projected to be a top 6 pick. So, like, for me, this is a no brainer. It makes the most sense to really kind of help the longevity of the franchise rather than just drafting someone to set them up to be in dire straits at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I hate how much we're agreeing this early, but Joe Alt to me since I started doing draft prep, Joe Alt has always read as a Patriot to me. I don't even have Alt as my number one tackle. I have Fashanu as my number one tackle,
Okay.
but Alt is such a meat and potatoes grab your garbage pail, go to work kind of guy, that Notre Dame background, that thing that the Patriots have been founded on, and I think is going to continue with Gerard Mayo. He screams New England Patriots to me, but I do agree. I think this is you have an opportunity here. If you're New England, there's so many holes. You have so many holes, so many places in your team. This is where we see a possible trade, our first trade of the draft for Drake May, for, obviously there's a lot of hype around JJ McCarthy right now. Michael Penix had a really good, draft combine. So it'll be really interesting to see what actually happens here. But I love this pick for New England here. If they were to stay in this spot, I don't think it's going to happen. But I think Joe Alt is an excellent pick. I think it is an excellent pick, and exactly what I would have done. So
yeah.
Number 4, this is almost too easy. Arizona, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a no-brainer to me here. I don't even feel like we need to spend a whole lot of time on this. He's the best play. He's the highest rated player in the draft for me. He is a game-changing talent immediately. He immediately becomes the number 1 receiver on that team. Sorry, Hollywood Brown. And Kyler looks dangerous. Arizona's got an opportunity to come back in rounds 2, 3, 4, get some offensive line help, keep Kyler upright, but you put Marvin Harrison Jr. on this team, this is going to spread the field out. It's going to, this is a franchise changing pick for Arizona, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm stuttering here because Marvin Harrison Jr. I think has the highest upside, and when I say high upside, I mean like he feels like a gold jacket pick. Like absolutely. I look at him and I'm just like, this guy has everything in his arsenal to be a future Hall of Famer. You're not going to be able to say that many times during an NFL draft season that someone has all the intangibles to be a Hall of Fame caliber player. Marvin Harrison Jr. has that. So at that point, if he's there at 4, Arizona, I'm expecting as soon as they're on the clock that the pick is in. Like they waste no time. They sprint that shit up there. They're not trading back. They're not doing anything. That is the pick. It is done. It is decided. They go.
Yeah, just like I said, franchise altering type of pick. He is so good. I agree with everything you said to this point. Now I also don't think, even though I think 3 gets moved and someone jumps up to get a quarterback there, I do not think Arizona moves from this spot. I think Arizona is going to stay at 4 regardless, because I do believe that unless New England stays and, goes real off board and goes and gets Harrison Jr., which I don't think they would do. But if if New England takes him, then I can see some movement. But I think Arizona's locked into the spot and they're getting maybe the best guy in the draft. So
yeah.
Pick number 5, the LA Chargers. Who are you taking for our Los Angeles Chargers?
So obviously you're a big Herbert fan. So when I get to this point, you're going to be, happy with whatever's probably going to happen, because it's too early for running back. It's too early for D-line, linebacker, cornerback. Here you're looking at either a tackle, tight end, or a wide receiver. So it's best tight end in the draft, which is best tight end in the draft by a pretty large margin in Brock Bowers. It is Malik Neighbors, or it is maybe someone along the lines of an Olu Fashanu, but at the same time, that is likely going to be meaning you're playing someone out of position. Right. So for me, it kind of comes down to Malik Neighbors or Brock Bowers. And in this instance, because of the fact that they invested first-round draft capital in a wide receiver last year in Quentin Johnson, I don't think they're going to give up on Johnston yet, even though he did have a rough rookie season. It does look like they're probably going to have some openings in their wide receiver room, but at the same time, this is like a historically deep wide receiver class. So give me Brock Bowers here at 5. I think it's a little bit early, honestly, just because of the fact that, in a lot of other, mocks from people who have a lot more time to dedicate to this than we do and have sources potentially. We don't have sources. Our sources are like, saw dude. That's it. But
Is
A
Twitter a
lot of
source? Does that count?
Twitter's totally a source, and that's my favorite source. It tells me so much things that are always true. Shout out Wesley
Always.
Steinberg. Uh,
Shut up.
but yeah, I mean, a lot of people have Brock kind of going in between like that 13 to 16 range now. Like he's kind of fallen a lot back from being a top 5 pick previously. But I can still see the Chargers believing in Johnston taking the jab here for Bowers.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bad pick here for the Chargers as long as they stay on board. As long as everything's being, falling in that way. This is again, the Chargers are, and we've talked about it at length during the season. They are a team with a lot of holes, but they have a lot of payroll committed to a lot of places, and so they're in a really weird spot with this Jim Harbaugh coming in, getting the best tight end in the draft, getting a guy that can come in and help block immediately if you're not investing in a tackle. I think is huge. I would have gone Neighbors here just because I think he's a game changing wide receiver.
Yeah.
But love the Bowers pick anyway. Love the Bowers pick. He immediately becomes your probably your second best pass catcher behind Keenan Allen, and he fits along your offensive line to help chip block and stay in there for blocks. Helps out your running game. It's a great pick for the Chargers. And I will be taking our New York Giants here at 6. If everything is to fall this way, I am going to take my second ranked quarterback prospect, Drake May from North Carolina, for the Giants. A small part of me really wants Malik Neighbors, but the QB position in New York is just in such a bad place that, as far as financial commitment, that getting a guy in, I think letting him sit as long as you can. I think starting the season with Daniel Jones, as long as he's healthy as your regular season starter, let him hold the clipboard for a year, let him learn the system and go. I think that is what's going to lead to the most possible success. And I'm going to take Drake May here. For me, if this pick happens in this way, I'm ecstatic. He is my second number 2 ranked quarterback by positional, and I would be thrilled.
So yeah, I mean, I have May as my number 3 quarterback, but I wouldn't be mad about this. Obviously, you and I are kind of tapped into Giants world. That's where our fandom's at. We know that Giants brass and coaching staff and front office have gone to, I think, 8 different visits with Drake May over the course of the last college season. So, I mean, if that doesn't show their cards a little bit that they're interested, I don't know what else does. I could see them trying
Maybe
to
he's
move up.
following Eli Manning around. Maybe that's
Yeah.
also.
I mean, I could see them trying to move up to 3 to try and get their quarterback. There's also a lot of rumblings of them having interest in JJ McCarthy. I think that's more smoke than it is legitimate. I feel like they're just trying to maybe get someone to try and trade up ahead of them to get someone else to fall to us. But don't necessarily know for sure. It's just a thought of mine. But yeah, I'm if I see this kind of happen, I think I'm pretty ecstatic as a Giants fan. But at the same time, I know I put you in a hard place because I left Neighbors on the board, and I know Neighbors is somebody else that you really, really, really want. So
Yeah, I love him. His skill set is so exciting to me. But yeah, I agree. I think we're on the same page as far as Giants world goes. But now I'm going to move it on to you. Pick number 7 for the Tennessee Titans. Who you taking here?
so they more than anything, like Malik Neighbors being on the board for them is awesome, but and a big but.
But
Dude, that offensive line is
it's terrible.
awful, 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 awful. So I almost want to be saucy and jump up someone that I have a little bit lower on the board, but I'm not going to do that here. And I'm just going to go ahead and go with Olu Fashanu from Penn State, just because of the fact that I feel like it makes it makes the most sense for them. I think that he is one of the strongest picks on the offensive line, and it is just such a gigantic need for them. Like I could see them going offensive line multiple times in this draft.
Yeah, their offensive line was genuinely horrible last year, like genuinely horrible. So I love this pick. He's my number one rated tackle. Just as far as like size, athleticism. I love the project of Olu Fashanu. I think the best well-rounded tackle is Joe Alt by a mile, but I think Fashanu could his ceiling is a little higher than Alt's. Alt has just got a significantly higher floor. So, but I love this pick for them here. Um, and now we get to pick number 8, and the Atlanta Falcons have a lot of needs, to be honest. They have a lot of good going on there. They were a competitive team last year, but they're unfortunately in a place where quarterbacks the top 3 are gone, and your next quarterbacks are looking like the JJ McCarthy's, Michael Penix, Bo Nix of the world. And I'm not sure if I'm thinking in the mind of the Falcons, if I'm willing to say, let's go Malik Neighbors and risk, you know, maybe they go Justin Fields. Maybe there's a rumor that Kirk Cousins is interested in going to Atlanta. So I have a really hard time going super off board because I don't have the next group of quarterbacks very highly rated. Um, so I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with my gut, my excitement, and I'm going to add Malik Neighbors to this offense.
Oof.
And that offense with either a Justin Fields or a Kirk Cousins at the helm is going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
Genuinely disgusting.
I mean, I think that so first off I want to say that in Chicago, I think that Justin Fields has been a little bit unfairly judged for everything that's gone on around him.
Absolutely.
And I do think that he still is a talented quarterback. There's things that he's not perfect with, but I do think that um, he's a little bit hard done by situations. And I think that it's a little bit unfair to him. With that being said, though, for me, man, if you have Justin Fields in Atlanta, and then you also have Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Kyle Pitts, and then add in Malik Neighbors, like
And Drake London. Don't forget about Drake London.
And Drake London, good lord, like there's so much talent that God, that team better be successful. You know, like
Like you're really at that point where it's like, okay, guys, we need to. We're not in a great division. We should probably like do better, maybe.
yeah,
Please.
and I mean they're in a interesting situation with the fact that Raheem Morris is new as their head coach. You know, who's their offensive coordinator? Um,
Oh, I'm not sure.
because obviously, like I hated Art Smith like as their head coach. Like legitimately as a fantasy football enthusiast, it became painful to have any Atlanta Falcons playmaker on your team.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
you know, it was one of those things that it was very rough. It was annoying. Usually pissed you off. But
Every time.
yeah, it feels like that team is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
They very well could be. They very well could be. That is a very exciting group, especially adding. If they were to add Neighbors and Fields, they can reinforce that offensive line throughout this draft and just watch them go. Because, goddamn,
Yep.
uh, pick number 9 back with the Chicago Bears. Who you taking?
So this is another pick that I feel like they're sprinting to put it in because it's so easy. Roma Dunze. I'm not wasting any time. You got 6 foot tall DJ Moore in there. Add in 6'3" Roma Dunze. Um, already have Cole Kmet, who is a strong strong tight end. Receiving core is going to be great for Caleb Williams. And then I would expect them to possibly maybe try and make a like you know running back's not been a strong position for them, but they have cap space. Like, I think they could make a splash on one of the free agent running backs that there seems that there's going to be a plethora of.
Yeah.
So the Chicago Bears offense, man, it is going to be something that I think could be a lot of fucking fun, especially with Caleb Williams and Odunze in there.
Yeah, I uh, how do you not take that guy? He's sitting there.
Yeah,
He, yes, 1,000 times yes. This gives that whole offense a facelift, and they're looking very dangerous. If this is the draft, you look 2-3 years down the road, this team is really scary. This team is horrifying, actually, to a
yeah.
matchup nightmare, literally. Um,
And God, did the
moving
people of
on.
Chicago deserve something like that?
Finally. Moving on, pick number 10, good friend of ours, Justin, Jets fan. This is also a pick I see if Fashanu goes, or if Alt goes that early at 3, I could see them wanting to trade up with above a Tennessee, maybe with a Chargers with Atlanta, if people are falling, because I think they not only do I think they want a premium tackle, I think they need a premium tackle.
Desperate for a
Yeah,
tackle.
they could go offensive line every pick of this draft, and I would still probably say they hadn't done enough. Like, there is so many holes along that line, and you have a 40-plus-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles tear. Um, I, I hate to do the reach, but my number 3 tackle here is JC Latham, and I think they're going to go with the best tackle on the board, and in my opinion, it's that one. So I think they're going to go JC Latham here from Alabama because they need it. They need him. Troy Fatanu. I have Fatanu more as a guard, but
I also have Fuaga and Fatanu more translating as guards in the NFL. So I agree with you 100% there. I will say JC Latham is actually my number 4 tackle, though.
really, really. Well, I'm gonna go J.C. Latham because this is my pick. He's my no, I'm just kidding. I have him there. Is Marius Mims your 3?
He is. Can't
Yeah,
teach
he's
size.
oh
Can't
my
teach
god,
size.
he's so exciting. I love him as a pick. If I thought the Jets were willing to be spicy, I would have taken him because I think he's got all the tools. He's so big, he's so fast, he's so but I think they're gonna just go with a Bama boy.
Something about them tackles from Georgia, though, man.
It's true.
I got
You are
they work.
They do. They do. It is your pick, 11 Minnesota Vikings. Who you taking?
So, this is where things get interesting because, as you can see here, man, they have a lot of needs. Um, this is an area where you could realistically look at them and see, all right, I could see that they could go, they could end up going, defensive line. They could go with a defensive back. This is where, like, we haven't had a single defensive player drafted 10 picks in yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I think that that's a thought. Could go with a offensive lineman, like we mentioned, Fuaga, thinking that Fuaga or Fatanu, both of them translate more to playing as an interior. Could see them come off the board here. With that being said, this is where Mr. JJ McCarthy comes off the board.
Yeah, yeah. I was
I
wondering if
think
you were going to be spicy, and you
I
are, and I
think
love it.
I think it just makes sense. Like, they're losing Kirk. Um, it's definitely, in my mind, it's a reach. I know a lot of people like JJ McCarthy. I get it. I do. It's just, for me, I don't have a first round grade on him. So obviously, quarterback's a premium position. If you feel like the guy could be your guy, you got to go out and take him, even if that means you're taking him early. Because realistically, even if I don't have a first round grade on him, JJ McCarthy is going in the first round.
Yeah,
I have, that is inevitable. Whether he goes at 4 or he goes at 24, doesn't matter. He's going before 32.
yeah,
It just makes a lot of sense here for me. And Denver in this situation would be pissed that they did not trade up.
yeah. Absolutely. I was just
Obviously
gonna
we're
say,
we're doing a no trades draft here, so, like, obviously they didn't have the opportunity to, but, like, Denver would be calling everybody to
yeah,
try and move up if JJ McCarthy's there, because they know that it seems like Minnesota would want him at 11.
Well, and I've heard from multiple podcasts and multiple articles I've read that Sean Payton loves JJ, loves the tools,
Yep.
loves the intangibles. Like, and I don't understand that because he is the least looking Drew Brees quarterback prospect I've ever seen. But um, I think they're going to do everything they can to get up there. It's just whether or not 12 is a tough place to be. You're outside of the top 10. You're not far enough down that you can start taking flyers on, some guys that are really toolsy or interior defensive linemen, because there's no Aaron Donalds in this draft, in my opinion. But you have to give an arm and a leg to get up into the top 10, let alone top 5, where you're going to need to be in order to draft this guy. So I love this pick for two reasons. One, I think it's hella accurate. I think this is a pick to secure Justin Jefferson. I think this is a pick to show him that you guys are serious, because I don't think that there's mutual interest. I think they want to sign him. I don't know that he wants to come back to Minnesota, because that defense is abhorrent. It is
Yeah.
awful. And they will not win games outside of the division until they start to solidify their defense. But I also love this pick because it puts Denver in a really bad spot. So I say that as someone who is now going to pick for the Denver Broncos. Kind of upset if I'm Denver here, because all of the top wide receiver targets, because they're rumored to be losing Jerry Jeudy. They're rumored to be losing.
They're not rumored to be losing Jared Judy. He's gone.
Oh, is he gone?
I sent it to you before we started recording. He got traded to
Oh
Cleveland
shit.
for a fifth and a sixth.
Yeah. So Jerry Judy's gone. Cortland Sutton also on the block. So if I'm Denver here, best tight end off the board. They just have so many holes, and I think that Russell Wilson plus Sean Payton trade is just some of the worst dealings in football. Um, I am going to take. I think I'm going to take our first defensive player here, and they're going to hope to come back around and grab Penix on the other end, because I don't think they're gonna reach for Michael Penix here. And I'm going to take Quinyon Mitchell. I'm going to take the
Interesting.
corner from
Interesting.
Toledo. Um, for number 12, the Broncos. His Senior Bowl has put this man on a rocket ship. He is my number one rated corner. He
Mm-hmm.
is he's the prototypical corner in the NFL today. If they end up keeping Surtain, this is the perfect guy to put on the other side of the field, and then you're locking down multiple positions. I think this is a talent they couldn't pass up here, even though they're gonna want a quarterback. So they're a little upset about that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you said there, and I would have gone a different route here, given the way that the board fell. It would have still been a defensive pick, but I would have given them Jared Verse. But
Oh,
I
okay.
do like the pick, and I agree. Quinyon Mitchell is also my top rated cornerback. So
Verse also would have been a good pick. I agree, but I just think with the rumors of them wanting, taking in talks for Certain, and I think they're going to want to bolster corner depth. So I appreciate your acknowledgement, but I also put you on the clock for the Las Vegas Raiders.
so again,
Also in a terrible spot, by the way. They
yeah.
also wanted a quarterback, also needed wide receiver help. That none of that.
So yeah, they're not necessarily thrilled, and they could go a couple different ways here. They could go with the DB in the fact that, and the reason I say DB specifically is because for me, I think Cooper DeJean is a very good versatile player. He could possibly be a safety, he could possibly be a corner, could be a nickel. So I do like him here. I do like potentially going with like a Fuaga here. I think that's a move that makes sense. But but
But
being big Giants guys, I love Antonio Pierce. I'm giving him a dog that he's gonna love, and give me Byron Murphy the second, interior defensive line. I think he
oh
is going to be a
shit.
stud for the Raiders.
The Raiders. Yeah, he's going to anchor a defensive line in the NFL. He is
Uh huh.
my number one interior defensive lineman. He is a freak. He's so strong. He's scary. I love him as a. I was literally like doing his eval as I was going through stuff, and I was like, "Fuck, man! If the Giants were in a position to be able to take someone, putting that dude next to Dexter Lawrence makes our interior defensive line unguardable."
Dude, like it's one of those things that as I'm going through this big board and I put Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat both in my top five as far as interior defensive line. I got Jonathan Brooks in my top five as far as running backs go. And then I have two Texas wide receivers in my top 10 wide receivers. How was this Texas? Like, obviously they made it into the college football playoff, but like,
Right.
good Lord, man, this Texas team had so much talent on it. And,
It did.
feel bad for Arch Manning, man. He might be getting the reins soon, and all the talent's gone. But
Yeah,
and
gone.
he
The
also
cupboard is bare.
apparently he also didn't understand the EA College Football 2025 agreement because he opted out of being in the game, and I don't think he understood what it meant. Like,
Just take the money, bro. Just take the money
it's
and the
free
game.
money. It's free money and a free game. It's not like you opt in, then that means you have to play whenever they ask you to, buddy. Like,
Yeah, I don't.
I play on the field.
No, I gotta focus. What do you mean you gotta focus? It's just a video game. I don't understand.
Like you realize that like your uncles are doing some ridiculous shit right now on TV, man. Calm down. Like just
It's true.
it's okay to be fun sometimes. Like,
It's true. It's true. So, pick 14 with the Saints. Excuse me. This whole group, 12, 13, 14, is pissed. Is pissed because they all wanted quarterback, but there's only so many quarterbacks to go around. New Orleans should have been better last year, especially in that division that ended up not being very good. I think this is the prime place to see a top rated. I have him as a tackle, but I have him as a right tackle. Talisi Fuaga, sorry.
Fuaga, yeah.
I have them going Fuaga here at pick 14. They have Derek Carr locked in for another couple years, and that offensive line is not aging well. It's not doing well. They're so predicated on being able to run. I think Fuaga is a kind of mean, kind of same thing as Joe Alt. Grab your lunch pail, go to work, get dirty. He finishes really well as a tackle, and I think he's their pick here just to try and start re-solidifying that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense, and I feel like there's a chance that there's going to be sort of a run. There could be a run on these offensive linemen that could be a little bit more interior. I at 15 I was thinking about doing Fatanu, but I'm kind of thinking against it because I'm going to be saucy instead.
I love sauce. I love it.
So
Sauce is good.
I do like the pick of Fuaga though, and if you're ready for the sauce. At
pick 15, Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU.
I love it.
It's a little bit of a jump up, but that's just a guy that's going to fit really well there. He's gonna, I believe they tagged Pittman, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
So he's going to be one of those guys, him and Pittman, and with hopefully a healthy Anthony Richardson. Because Anthony Richardson did show signs of potentially being a very competent NFL quarterback before getting kind of hit with injuries. And so hopefully he's recovered and he's good to go. I know he's a little bit divisive. You either kind of like him or hate him, especially if you're a University of Florida fan. Very, very divisive. But I think Brian Thomas Jr. will be an electric pick, and two LSU wide receivers in the top 15. Nuts.
Yeah, I love this pick for them. I think if the board is to fall this way and they get Brian Thomas Jr. here, I think you should be ecstatic. I am of the ilk that Anthony Richardson has all the potential and all the tools to be great. I don't know if he can get out of his own way long enough to be able to get there. I see him and I think too much of Cam Newton. And that scares me because as soon as Cam took one too many hits to that shoulder surgery, and Richardson has already had one. He had one right this year. He had one. If that has to happen again, or a couple more times, or he's rehabbing this or doing that, I worry for him. But looking short term, this is electric for the Colts, and I love the pick. I love the pick. Give me the spice. Pick 16, the Seattle Seahawks. I so badly want to go Jackson Johnson Powers. Is that his name?
Yes. Or Jackson
I
Powers Johnson, actually.
Jackson Powers Johnson. Yeah, that's it. From Oregon. I so badly want to do that here, but I feel an obligation to the Seattle Seahawks fandom, to Seahawks fans in general, to take our first edge off the board. He screams Seahawks. He is a freak athlete for a team that only drafts freak athletes. I'm taking my number one edge here, Jared Verse. He is coming off the board from FSU. I think this just screams Seattle pick. Defensively, at least, I would have loved to be able to solidify their offensive line, but the pick and the quality of the player for me is just too good for them to pass up. And you have a guy that can cover, you have a guy that can rush the passer. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's a nuts athlete. That just screams Seattle Seahawks to me.
Yeah, I was sitting here. I was like, please do it. Please do it. Like, I wanted that to be the pick here so bad. I feel like it just makes so much sense.
So much sense.
And you put me in an interesting spot because I am torn between four players right now for Jacksonville because I want to go ahead and increase, pick up their defense. That's where my mind's at. Like, Fatanu's an option. Powers Johnson is an option. I like those guys as well. But for me, especially guys that are going to translate more to the interior, I think it's too early. So I'm between Dallas Turner. I'm between three corners in DeJean, Wiggins, and Arnold. I feel like
I
all
love
of them.
Wiggins.
I feel like all of them are options. But they just put the tag on Josh Allen. I am going to go ahead and make them a terror on the defensive front. Give me Dallas Turner on the opposite side. Because it's one of those things that I think if it turns out that Josh Allen ends up wanting to leave after that and it doesn't work out, having the heir apparent or the guy that's going to team with him for the next 5 years is going to make that Jacksonville defensive front disgusting. So
yeah,
that's my pick. There we go.
That's an excellent pick. I love the pick for them. I also would have leaned Fataanu here, but what you do by passing on him is this is a pick where the Bengals run up and they take Troy Fataanu so fast. They're going to try him at guard at least to start because they need help along the outside of the line. But Troy Fataanu here for the Bengals. They're excited for that pick for Jacksonville. Like, I think that's a great pick for them. I love your reasoning behind it, even though they did end up franchising. Oh my God, his name just jumped out of my head and you just said it.
Josh Allen.
The Josh Allen that should have been on the Giants. Which is how I will always remember him, as being a should have been Giant. Yeah, so having franchised Josh Allen, I love this pick for them. This increases their pass rush exponentially and makes that defense even more of a terror. But the Bengals going Fataanu just makes too much sense at this point.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said there. And now I'm in a situation of, again, I'm looking at DBs. I like them a lot. And this LA team loves flash, loves speed. It's got to be Nate Wiggins, man. Like,
I love Nate Wiggins.
Nate Wiggins, man. It feels like it makes a lot of sense here. I think it kind of fits what they need. And he's someone who I think could come in and be a real strong contributor right day one.
Yeah, I agree. I love Wiggins as a prospect. I'm trying to find. Sorry, I wasn't able to digitize most of my stuff. I have Wiggins as third.
I didn't digitize either, but I did color code. Color code.
I didn't do that. And I'm on a tiny notepad. I should have gotten
Oh,
like the full. I'm a moron.
no,
But
you're
I
good,
just
man.
took what I could grab. Nate Wiggins is my third ranked corner, but only because I think Cooper DeJean is more versatile. That
He
is
is
the only
versatile.
reason I put him over Wiggins, because I see Wiggins as a lockdown outside guy. I don't want him inside. I don't want him at safety. I want him covering star receivers on the outside. That's what
I
I
get
want.
that. I
So
get
I
that.
love this pick here for the Rams. I think it's great. Oh, you give me the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Technically, you gave yourself the Pittsburgh Steelers because you decided you were.
That's
So
fair.
Mike Thomas
Well,
watching intently right now.
intently. I'm gonna get a text as soon as we're done recording. It won't even be posted, and he's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
He's like,
um,
why do you hate me? Why do you hate me? Why did you trade Mike Tomlin and TJ Watt?
and TJ Watt. Oh my
It was a
god.
no trade draft, and you traded away
And you
all my
traded our
best.
coach and our Hall of Fame outside linebacker.
Oh God, man.
Edge. That was a terrible video.
No.
I'm so happy I shared it with you guys.
Shout out to that video.
Yeah, shout out to that guy. This is
Except
how you
not.
fix the Steelers. Take away their coach that's never had a losing season, and you take away their best player. They're fixed. Anyway, sorry guys. Sorry for the tangent.
My bad.
At 20 here, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to be upset that there's been a little bit of a run. I really like Cooper DeJean here. I think that could be a great pick for them defensively. Johnny Newton, I think, screams Steelers guy. Freak athletically. They love their defense first, but the thing that I can't stop thinking about, and Mike Thomas, I hope that you love this pick. I'm torn between Jackson Johnson Powers and Amarius Mims. I think that offensive line needs help for whether it's Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. I don't care who it is. Along for Russell Wilson, it doesn't matter. Whoever the quarterback is on this team needs a functional offensive line, and I'm torn between Jackson Powers Johnson and Amarius Mims. I think I'm going to go Jackson Powers Johnson just because of the versatility. The man could play center. He can play guard. You put him at center and you have the anchor, the center point of your offensive line for the next 10 years. He's mean. He's feisty. He's smart. I love the Jackson Powers Johnson pick here for Pittsburgh, and they're a little upset to see to not go tackle, but this interior needs a refresh.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like the pick a lot. Jackson Powers Johnson is one of those guys that through the combine just skyrocketed as well. Like not quite Quinion Mitchell level, but like close.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to end up being a great pick. In Oregon, apparently, he's got a burger named after him, and he tried describing the burger at the combine, and it just sounded like a heart attack. So you got to love that.
Love it.
And
Love
I mean, he's living a dream that I've had since I was a child. Is that I want an item of food named after me. So like,
We'll get there. Don't worry about it.
I feel like that's something that everybody wants, though. Like, I'm not
True.
crazy by thinking that, right?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
So. Miami Dolphins.
Craig Brooks listening intently.
This is a really interesting spot. And part of me wants to go ahead and go with Amarius Mims, but I can't do that. And I can't do it because they're losing Christian Wilkins to free agency as of right now.
I'm so happy you're saying this because this is what I would have done.
Because I'm looking at Johnny Newton, Jerzon Newton still being on the board right now, and I feel like it just makes too much sense for them not to go ahead and run that in because Christian Wilkins is a guy that I feel like losing him in free agency is going to cause so much pain. They need to go ahead and fix that. And I think that this is something that's going to end up making a lot of sense for them.
Yeah, I love it. I think that a lot of people are going to say that this isn't a sexy pick, but I think that this fills a massive need. I believe both of their edge rushers are out to start the year with torn ACLs later in the year. They're losing Christian Wilkins in free agency. They're also losing like 3 offensive linemen, which is terrible. Miami is finding out the cost of having that offense be so expensive last year.
Mm-hmm.
This year, they are
Yeah.
finding out, but you cannot ignore that side of the ball. And I love this pick. This is the pick I would have made had I had the Dolphins in this. However, you give me Philly, and if I'm Philly in this situation, I am also running this pickup without any doubt in my mind. I'm taking Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is the pick here for the Eagles. Their secondary is terrible. They have a terrible secondary. James Bradbury got burnt. Darius Slay is only getting older. They need to refresh this secondary. Cooper DeJean can come in, play safety, play nickel, play outside, whatever you need him to do. He can do it, and he's going to be their guy here. I think that this is a slam dunk for Philly.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I, I'm just now noticing though that you got the entire NFC East because they're all even
I
picks.
did. I did. That's weird.
So I'm just a
Well,
little bit
you will
mad
get
that
them
you.
next time. You will get them next time.
I'm a little bit mad that you just didn't end up getting the just sabotaging them. That's
Sorry,
what
man.
I would have loved to have seen
I'm
happen.
going to take a kicker. We would love a first round kicker.
And then the Cowboys are going to take a kicker, even though they already got a really good kicker that they got from fucking MLS.
Washington with the second pick is going to take a punter. We're taking a punter, not
we
even
really
a
actually
kicker.
we have a lot of value in the long snapper position. So
23. Oh, sorry, 23. Houston
yeah.
Texans on the clock.
I've always had a soft spot for the Houston Texans. I feel like being the fact that they're one of those teams that I've gotten to like since I had cognitive thought, they were one of those teams that I got to watch them start fully in the NFL from expansion franchise to where they're at now. And I really like CJ Stroud, and part of me wants to go out here and get a wide receiver to give him more help. I don't think that there's a tight end here that makes a lot of sense. But I think I'm going to end up going a different route. And for them, I think I'm going to end up going based off of what I see as potentially being best players available. And even though I don't necessarily think that there's really any edge rushers left with a first round grade for me personally, um, I think I'm going to go ahead and also jump off of what my board says. Actually, no, I'm not going to jump off of what my board says. I'm going to go ahead and take Chop Robinson here.
I like Chop a lot.
I like Chop. I feel like he had a very strong combine. And I think that, it's like I said, it's a little bit, you're clearly the way that they have him graded here. It's a little bit of a reach. I disagree with him being that low.
I agree.
But my big thing is obviously since we're sharing the screen, Leatu Latu was forced to retire twice due to injuries. I know he's cleared now, but like that's such a gigantic red flag for me. I know he had a strong combine and I know his medical tests are all there, but like those kind of things can change in an instant. And I have a really hard time trying to draft him in the first round because of it. So that's just me being fully transparent with my feelings on that. But yeah, this is one of those ones that I feel like Chop Robinson's he's got good strength, he's got good burst, and
another freak athletically.
He's those chop moves, man. Chop's got him.
Chop's got him.
He's and obviously he's one of the top two names in the draft, I think. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Not to mention, so they drafted D'Amico Ryans last year. He was like, I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. Excuse me. And they got CJ Stroud, and then they traded back up, and they were like, we gonna get, oh my god, his name just jumped out of my head too. Sorry,
Will
guys.
Anderson.
Will Anderson. I've been awake very long, and my daughter takes my brain from me. And they got Will Anderson. I think putting Chop Robinson on the other side of Will Anderson, having D'Amico Ryans as a head coach, this just makes too much sense. I love this pick for them. I agree with what you're saying about Latu. I think he's a risk, but I think as we get further down into the draft, I think the Detroits, the Baltimores, the San Franciscos, those guys are more likely to take a risk on something like that, because they're in win now mode. And, if you only play 2 seasons due to injury, that sucks. But also, if you're able to put us above the threshold, I think it's a great thing for them. So, Dallas Cowboys on the clock. We're going to take a kicker. No, we're not going to take a kicker. I'm gonna try and do right by them. I'm trying to look at. Okay, so they have a lot of needs, to be honest. I don't think Dallas is anywhere near as put together as a lot of people would lead them to believe. Tony Pollard is a free agent. Maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't. Apparently, he'll take less money. Tyron Smith is a free agent. I think if I'm Dallas here, I take Amarius Mims. I think I try and reinforce that offensive line because truthfully, I don't think Dak is that good when he doesn't have great protection. So what I do is I go out and I get the best tackle left on the board, because there's no wide receiver here that I think is amazing. There's no one that I think is like, oh my God, how is he still here? So I go and I reinforce that offensive line for him.
Makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's something that's definitely necessary. Um, man, I really don't like the Green Bay pick, especially because Amarius Mims is someone that I was looking at. If we look at the interior defensive line, I don't think that the other people that I'm looking at, whether it be Darius Robinson or Fisk or Tavondre Sweat, I think that it's kind of a little early for them. Um, and then safety, it's just really not there as far as this point in the draft. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a reach, kind of. Not really, I guess, but I'm going to go ahead and take a guard in. Well, he's listed as a tackle there, but he is a guard in Graham Barton. Um, I think that he can play tackle. I think he plays better as a guard. He's got shorter arms. Um, he's a guy that I also could see being a falling into the second round. So it's going to kind of depend what happens here, but I think that he's an option for them. It makes a lot of sense, especially I think David Bakhtiari is kind of up in the air. Um, so if that ends up happening, it could be a move that makes a lot of sense. But I feel like you could do some really interesting things here with the Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks should be thrilled with how this board fell. I would say that they're probably not the most excited that Amarius Mims went, just a little bit ago. Graham Barton, I could see them panic and go for a guy like Tyler Guyton. I have him also graded more as a guard. It's really ultimately going to come down to whether or not they see Baker Mayfield as their quarterback of the future, because I am not a big believer in Baker. I think he is a serviceable quarterback, but goddamn, they're also in a place where I think they could look at Latu. Tyler Nubin excites me. Peyton Wilson screams uh, like he belongs in that system. He's that kind of tough nosed guy. But I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go against my better judgment, and they're going to take a guy that's probably fallen a little unnecessarily in Terrion Arnold, and they're going to reinforce that secondary. They're going to go corner here just because that defense was very vaunted last year, and I think they need to start refreshing it a little bit, and he's fallen quite a bit.
Yeah,
So they're going to take a guy that probably should be a top 15 pick, top maybe 20 at the lowest, falling to 26. I think they snag him here.
absolutely. And that was one of those things. Is I'm kind of sitting here looking at Arizona, and I'm like, ooh, if Terrion Arnold falls to them, they're going to be so happy.
Oh yeah,
But obviously, that's not the way that the cookie crumbled, and they didn't get
it's
him.
not.
So for me, Arizona. Let's see here. Where do we go from here? I think there's a couple different areas. Um, and I'm between two names right now because there's still two more cornerbacks that I think have first round value potentially.
I agree.
One of them they think fits their system better. Ahead and go against my board because I think he's going to be a better system fit for them. And I'm going to go with Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Um,
Love
he's a little bit further down. I think I have him as my sixth corner overall. Um, so Kool Aid McKinstry still sitting out there. TJ Tampa is also, another name that's very good. But I think that this is a pick that makes a lot of sense for Arizona.
Yeah, I actually have him ranked as my fifth highest. I like Rakestraw Jr. a lot. I Missouri, it's tough to really get a gauge about like how good this guy really can be. But I love the intangibles. I love the player, and I love this pick. I think it fills a need for Arizona, and I think their defense last year showed a lot of people some things. Unfortunately, they couldn't keep up offensively, but I think that they were a better team last year than really anyone would have given them credit for, especially not having Kyler for so long. I mean, they took the Giants to the brink there. So I now looking back at it, I would have rather have lost that game and gotten a higher pick, but whatever. Here we are. Yeah, love that pick for them. Moving on, Buffalo Bills at pick 28. The Bills have so many holes.
Yeah.
There are so many. They don't need a tight end. I know that for damn certain. They don't need a tight end, but they're upset to see two corners go here. Two guys that I had ranked highly. I definitely think it's possible they go Kool Aid. I definitely think it's possible they go for him here. I'm very interested in a Tyler Guyton here. Um, and I think that there's going to be a lot of options, but I think these guys are going to fall in love with a man's combine numbers, and I'm going to go Adonai Mitchell here
Ooh,
for the Bills.
I like it.
I think they see the end coming for Stephon Diggs. He's, I think, 30 this year, so by Mike Thomas's standards, he is dead.
He's retired
Um,
2 years ago. Yeah.
I think the end is coming up here. I think you have one of the best route runners in football in Stephon Diggs, and having this guy come in and learn from him, I think would be huge. And I think it re-injects some exciting playmaking ability into their offense. They're losing Gabe Davis. They go out and get a guy, Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really strong pick going wide receiver, and I think it's one of those ones that um, just it makes too much sense. Sometimes those picks are it's just the right move that you have to take the pick that makes too much sense. Whereas here with Detroit at 29, um, I don't have to make the pick that makes too much sense because I just think that it would be silly for them not to go best player available. Um, and while again, I said my issues with him as and my worries with him, but Leatu Latu I think is who they're going to go for here to put him opposite Hutchinson, um, and that's going to make that team just kind of scary. I feel like it's just you didn't expect him to be there, um, and they're going to jump for joy at that option.
Yeah, I think that fills a need for them. He seems kind of like a Dan Campbell kind of guy, in the way that he carries himself, the way he goes about business. I also could have seen like a Peyton Wilson kind of move there. I think
Yeah.
that would have been also very interesting for a Dan Campbell, Tyler Nubin too. Like the way that this board is falling for Detroit gives them a gluttony of options. If anyone's looking to trade back in and only them drop down a couple of picks, I think that that's the move for Detroit. They're closer than I think anyone thought they would be at this time last year. But that gives me the Baltimore Ravines. And they're going to go Bo Nick. No, I'm just kidding. They have they have one of the more confusing teams in the NFL to me because I am still not sold on Lamar Jackson as a quarterback that's going to win you the big game. Um, but I don't think that they aid Lamar in this. I think it's it's too nice of a pick for them, and they take Kool-Aid McKinstry. But
Okay.
I could definitely see them going Lad McConkey here. I could see Troy Franklin. I think they want someone to pair with Zay Flowers. I think that they could even take the first running back here. I don't have a first round grade on a grade on a running back in this class, but I could see them going running back here and trying to resolve that
Hmm.
position once and for all. But I think Kool-Aid is too good a value to pass up here.
Absolutely. I
He's got
get that
that swag
100%.
too.
And I mean, name like Kool-Aid, man. Like, come on.
It's a great name.
Like I said, Chop Robinson, one of the best names in the draft. The other one's Kool-Aid, both in the first round.
Phenomenal
Um,
names.
and third one is Lad McConkey, who could still go in the first round, just
It's
because
true.
what a name.
What a name.
But 49ers, it's got to be offensive line at this point. I'm torn between Tyler Guyton and Zach Frazier, and I think I'm going to lean Guyton, and I'm going to go ahead and take him here. I think he's just outside of the first round for me personally, and it doesn't feel like it's much of a reach to take him at 31. So it makes a lot of sense. And I think that it'll end up being a very good pick for them. Like guys like Jordan Morgan are also still out there, could potentially creep into the first round, especially with pro days and stuff like that. But I really hope that you take who I want you to take here at 32.
I was really torn. I am still really torn. To kind of talk through my process, Guyton was the guy I would have taken had he been on the board here. All of my first round rated tackles are gone. There's no one else I have with a first round grade on them. I think if the board falls the way that it did for this team, for Kansas City, I think they trade back. I think they're looking and hoping that a guy like Guyton falls. They're hoping that maybe an interior defensive lineman falls a little bit, or they have the possibility to trade up. If that's not what happens, I think what they do at pick 32 with the way this board fell, I think they go Lad McConkey. I think Lad McConkey is the guy there, and they take him with the 32nd pick in the first round. They did finally show something. Obviously, at the end of the season, their wide receiver depth was questioned the entire season. They finally got it together in the playoffs a little bit, but I think you just keep re-upping that offense. You keep pouring into offensive line. You keep pouring into wide receiver. You draft the heir apparent at tight end here soon, and go, because your window is open as long as Patrick Mahomes plays quarterback for you.
So he's not who I would have gone with, but I don't think
Troy
you can really
Franklin.
go wrong with. Uh, no, I wouldn't go with Troy Franklin either. I don't think that you could go wrong with a Lad McConkey. I think Lad McConkey makes sense. He could be, he could be the Welker or Edelman that Brady had, realistically. And I hate doing that just because it's comparing a white wide receiver to a white wide receiver, but like kind of just looking at his stature, and he's looks like he's going to be much more of a reliable slot guy than anything in the
He's a
NFL.
Sterling Shepard type. There you go.
Yeah,
I'll throw
there you
that in
go.
there for you.
There you go. Hopefully with a better injury history. Shout out to Shep. Love you, buddy.
For
Um,
you, lad, please.
but yeah, I think that no, this was a solid first round. There's like I said, I would have maybe done a little bit of a change there, but I
Who would
like.
you have taken? Who was your pick?
Come on, man.
Is it Xavier Worthy? Would
It
you have
is
done Worthy?
100%
I
Xavier
knew
Worthy.
it. I
It is
fucking knew it.
100% Xavier Worthy because give him a Tyreek Hill back. Like, give him someone that he can't outthrow. Obviously, one of the things with Xavier Worthy is he did struggle with drops a little bit in college, and that's something that also Tyreek Hill struggled with a little bit early in his career. But that's something that can be coached and can be worked on and can get better. So I think that Xavier Worthy would have made a little bit of sense, and I would have liked that pick here. But I understand where you went with what you did, and I'm just upset that Keon Coleman had such a rough combine because he fell out of the first round for me.
Oh yeah, he's a mid second round guy for me. Like I don't even want the Giants to take him at 39. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be stoked for that pick there. 47 I'd be more open to it, but yeah, I love this draft. I would have taken Worthy had it not been for the drops. I think there's too many slick hands in Kansas City right now. I think he needs a guy that he knows is going to put the ball in his chest and he's going to come down with it. And that for me is Lad McConkey. So
Yeah.
that's my logic behind it. But I would have, if they take Worthy there, I'm so stoked because you just have Patrick Mahomes throwing bombs, just bombs, and
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved it. So just to recap really quickly, first pick, I'm just going to go down 1 to 32. Caleb Williams, number 1. Number 2, Jaden Daniels. Number 3, Joe Alt. Number 4, Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 5, Brock Bowers. Number 6, Drake May. Number 7, Olu Fashanu. Number 8, Malik Neighbors. Number 9, Rome Adunze. Number 10, JC Latham. Number 11, JJ McCarthy. Number 12, Quinyon Mitchell. Number 13, Byron Murphy II. Number 4, Talisi Fugawa. Number 15, Brian Thomas Jr. Number 16, Jared Verse. Number 17, Dallas Turner. Number 18, Troy Fatanu. Number 19, Nate Wiggins. Number 20, Jackson Powers Johnson. Number 21, Johnny Newton. Number 12, Cooper DeJean. Number 23, Chop Robinson. Number 24, Amarius Mims. Number 25, Graham Barton. Number 26, Terrion Arnold. Number 27, Ennis Rakeshaw Jr. Number 28, Adonai Mitchell. Number 29, Latu. Number 30, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Number 31, Tyler Guyton. And number 32, Lad McConkey. With all that being said, anyone that didn't go in the first round are no trade pre-free agency first round. This is something important to say, guys. This was done pre-free agency. We're doing it on the Saturday before it opens. Obviously these picks are going to change. We're going to do one more mock post free agency right before after pro days and everything like that. So we'll do this again and we're going to switch. I'll take odds, Mike's going to take evens and ruin the NFC East for us.
Yeah.
But anyone that did not go in the first round that you thought would, and any surprises in the first round for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a probability of either Penix Jr. or Nix creeping into the first round. I also think that there's likely going to be one running back taken, whether it be Trey Benson or Jonathan Brooks. I think one of them could creep into the first round. Keon Coleman, Roman Wilson, Xavier Worthy, I think are all names that we could see around the first round as well. And Cam Kitchens, I think, could also be a name at safety that we could see pop into the first round. But yeah, safety is kind of a weird position. I'm not sure that I really rate anyone. Same with linebacker as far as first rounds go. Maybe you could see like a Peyton Wilson. He had a pretty good combine. But yeah, I think those are like the names for me that I feel like could be there, but maybe not. But or the Raiders do something weird like they always do. You know.
Lions too. Lions do weird shit sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. I know there's going to be a linebacker taken. There's probably going to be a safety taken. I'm curious to see who those are, but I think we for our first ever going for it mock draft, I think we did a good job filling needs for teams. Again, we're not doing any trades or anything. I think there's going to be an abundance of trades based on the depth of offensive line, wide receiver, and in the lack of depth in at the quarterback position. I think we're going to see a lot of moves early, maybe late, probably less so. But very excited. I think we feel, like I said, filled needs for teams here.
I think
That
so. I think we did.
if your team did not make a pick you're happy with based on the guys on the board, let us know. Let us know who your team is. Let us know who you would have taken down below. Like I said, we are going to do another mock post pro days, right before the draft, post free agency, all that stuff. We're about a little more than a month away. And who I want to give you a soapbox here for a minute
About me?
because yeah,
Okay.
because you've probably gotten more scouting time than I have looking at videos, watching things, reading articles, stuff like that. You watch more college football than I do. What do you have to say for people who won maybe Giants fans particularly, but he's kind of flying up draft boards right now. JJ McCarthy, talk to me first about him and then talk to me about Bo Nix and how he went from number 3 incumbent whatever to where he is now.
So, with JJ McCarthy, I I think that he could be a good quarterback. I don't see him having like all star, Pro Bowl, like written in lights kind of thing for him. And one of the things that I kind of noticed with him is his accuracy thrown outside sometimes can be a little bit shoddy. He's got great power, he's got great velocity, um, but for me, that's some of my worries is his outside passing, and obviously, like I don't want to go ahead and bring in the memes of the where's Connor Stallions and stuff like that. But at the same time, after all of that stuff happened, you saw them become a much more run reliant team, and his passing accuracy kind of dipped. Like there was a game where I think he went 10 for 30, like or something like that. Like it was
Is that
not,
good? Is
it
that
was not
good?
great. So I don't know. I'm not, I'm not huge on him as a early round pick. I think that he does have a lot of things that he does well. And as for Knicks, Knicks is just not a like as a Giants fan, Knicks is not a player that I'm interested in at all. To me, Knicks feels very much like Daniel Jones in the fact that he is not a throw the ball down the field kind of guy. Um, he is a kind of guy that, if you looked at his statistics and his air yardage, so much more of his yardage is yard after catch than it is yards through the air. And there's not that there's anything wrong with that, but that is a Oregon scheme. Like that's why it happens so often. That's why we've seen it. We saw it with Justin Herbert, who's had some success in the NFL, but hasn't really been able to go ahead and go over the hump yet. Marcus Mariota. I'm trying to go Joey Harrington. Like
Joey Harrington.
This Oregon scheme, it can only get you so far at the next level. And I don't know. For me, one of the other things that also kind of like just rubbed me the wrong way about Bo Nix is when they were doing velocity testing, and
It was such
like
an ugly ball.
dude,
Oh,
he got it up to 58 miles per hour, which is decent velocity, but good lord, dude, when that thing came out of his hand, if he's trying to throw that hard, he's throwing a duck. Like it is, it
it
was
was
that's it.
so ugly.
Like if I'm throwing hard, like my that ball is going to be a much more tighter spiral than he did, and that's sad. Like I might not hit 58 miles per hour on velocity, like
I
that's
will not.
probably true, but like it's that was dude, it was kind of rough. um and even during the combine, like some of JJ McCarthy's accuracy on like deep ball throws, like some of it was good, but then outside the numbers, some of it was exactly what we've seen during the tape. It's not his strong suit. So I don't know. I'm not terribly huge on either of them. I think Penix is all right, but there's just a huge injury history with him. Dude's had multiple season-ending injuries, whether it be to knees or shoulders, and that's a giant red flag. Like so,
Those things only get worse with age. So
yeah, and if you're a Giants fan, MetLife turf, like
yeah,
so.
the cursed turf.
Uh,
Sorry, Bengals, because you
I,
guys are
I,
gonna have that now.
I blame Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, okay. Well, that is our first mock of the year. That's our first mock ever.
Woo!
Mike and I have put, like I said, a lot of work, a lot of man hours into this. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you to PFF for only letting us use their draft simulator, and no thank you for everything else you guys do. But your draft simulator is
Guys,
great. I really appreciated the use of that.
some of the
Um,
rankings, man, are weird.
I don't know how Chop Robinson's that low, especially after his combine, but whatever. I digress. Um, yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We appreciate it. Again, let us know if we made a pick that you're not stoked about. Let us know who your team is and let us know who you would have taken anyway. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Next time.
Yeet, yeet.